Greetings, guzzlers, and welcome back to another episode of Ben Buys Beverages, where I am trying out something new setup-wise. As you can see, I've migrated to our dining room, and I've got the big Edmund Blair Leighton print behind us, and I really love that picture. And why is because probably about 3 months after my wife and I got married, I deployed for the big invasion of 2003, and in support of it. I was not a door kicker. But anyhow, I've had this web camera for a while and I use it for other things. And I had it out earlier for my son, had an assignment. He had to make a video interview. So I thought I'll try a beer video tonight. Besides, I got something fun planned for it. Tonight's video is the beer called Split. It's from Anchorage Brewing Company. It is a triple India Pale Ale, clocking in at 10% alcohol by volume. It's brewed with Citra Incognito hops and Strata hops, or Strata, and DDH with Strata hops. Yeah, I don't know what any of that means. Hops, yeah. Anyhow, let's check out the art. And the trick here is, excuse me, where I have the camera angled, you got a split personality. You get crazy lion. And I keep looking at the camera or the computer screen and not the camera, my bad. And you also have coming out of what might be a dryad. Looks like a woman with like sticks coming out of her head. Yeah, some type of weird dryad tree spirit thing. Anyhow, it doesn't really matter. Let's crack this open. I haven't quite got the lighting figured out yet. That'll be the next step. And if it turns out this isn't working for folks, tell me, and I'll find a different way to do this. We've got to lift it up high to pour. Ooh, it almost blends in with the wall. It's so thick and hazy. And I can smell, it reminded me faintly of peaches. And I don't know why, but that was the odor I caught as I started to pour this. Look at that. Very little head. Very, very thick and hazy. Yeah, it's a very floral, fruity smell. It does remind me of peaches, but I have no idea why. It has a wonderful mouthfeel. Ooh, and there's that scent it gives off, and it has that as a kind of like an aftertaste, almost sweet. I don't know, this is really good beer. You know, normally I'm not an IPA guy, but this is a triple IPA, the bigger cousin to that video I did last Saturday, where the double IPA. Well, this is the big cousin at 10%. This is really good. All right, I'm going to say 10 out of 10. If they have any left at Cottage Hill Package Store, I will certainly buy more. This is really tasty. And at 10% alcohol, you only really need one or two. Now, that out of the way, I have something else that I wanted to share. At work, one of my colleagues, Sonia Buys Beverages, another former Army officer, she was cleaning out paperwork. And she found this. Now, what is this? This is the MMPI from the Psychological Corporation. And this is a pretty sturdy test. It's a psychological test. In theory, people take this test. They answer these questions. Well, in fact, you know what? Here's the instructions. I don't want to get this wrong. This is an inventory for the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory. Copyright 1943. The most recent year on this is 1970. So there's no telling how long this was kicking around in a back closet there at where I work, but probably for longer than I've been around. If you could look at the pages more closely, you'll see how they've yellowed with age. It's pretty neat. But anyhow, the instructions. The inventory consists of numbered statements. Read each statement and decide whether it is true as applied to you or false as applied to you. And then it tells you how to mark them true or false. Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to read all the questions because there's 566 of them. What I am going to do is I took the time to go through here with sticky notes and a pen, and I've read them all. And I've decided to do a dramatic reading of some of the more interesting, entertaining questions, or some of the more poorly written questions, because some of these use very subjective words. And plus, given the time it was written, it was like, really, what are they going for here? Anyhow, off this very first page, question 4. I think I would like the work of a librarian. Question 11. A person should try to understand his dreams and be guided by or take warning from them. Yes, that worked well for the Romans. 14. I have diarrhea once a month or more. 18. I am very seldom troubled by constipation. Look, throughout the questions, there's lots of stuff about pooping and peeing, which I find fascinating, the obsession with it. All right, so there's several on this page. Number 25, I would like to be a singer. 27, evil spirits possess me at times. And I'm not talking about the foul-tasting ones that I pour in glasses. 30, at times, I feel like swearing. Maybe this was written with Mobile, Alabama traffic in mind. I don't know. 33, I have had very peculiar and strange experiences. Yes. But there's no definitions for either of those subjective words. It's a terrible, terrible question. 48, at the bottom here, when I am with people, I am bothered by hearing very queer things. Now, given the time when this was written, I'm pretty certain queer did not mean gay like it means today. So it's either means strange things I don't like to discuss, or it means I hear things that other people around me do not hear, be it voices or music or bells. Either way, again, terrible question. All right. Number 59. I have often had to take orders from someone who did not know as much as I did. Well, that's pretty much everyone's military career. This is a terrible question. 60. I do not read every editorial in the newspaper every day. Now, granted, this was written when newspapers existed, and you would get them daily. But even then, why? They're just others' opinions. 63. I have had no difficulty in starting or holding my bowel movements. So that's the third poop question. 64. I sometimes keep on at a thing until others lose their patience with me. I think today we might call that autism. All right, 70. I used to drop the handkerchief. Now, as near as I can tell, after discussion with Sonia buys beverages, that's when, and you'll see this in Tom and Jerry cartoons, someone will drop a handkerchief, generally a woman, and then the man runs up to grab it. And apparently that existed outside of Tom and Jerry cartoons, which never occurred to me until I found this relic. Oh, and one more question on here, number 50. My soul sometimes leaves my body. 74. I have often wished I were a girl. But this is a two-part question, because then in parentheses it says, or if you are a girl, I have never been sorry that I am a girl. So it's not even an opposite question. It's just two unrelated questions that share the English language and the word girl. Again, with the terribly written questions. All right, 78. I like poetry. Apparently that says more about you than maybe it should. 87. I would like to be a florist. 90. Once in a while, I put off until tomorrow what I ought to do today. Now, Ben Franklin may have written this. Perhaps he's one of the spirits they mentioned in other questions. He came up and he wrote that particular one. Do not put off until tomorrow what you can do today. Instead, I procrastinate. 110. Someone has it in for me. 117. Most people are honest, chiefly through fear of being caught. It's just a lovely, cynical question there. But it reminds me of that joke. The only crime is getting caught. All right. 126. I like dramatics. Number 127. I know who is responsible for most of my troubles. Honestly, every single person's troubles can come back to themselves once you're an adult. Today, the kids like to call it FAFO. F around and find out. So, 140. I like to cook. Huge personality indicator there, I guess. Otherwise, the opposite is I like to starve. I don't get it. Number 144. I would like to be a soldier. I've already done that. Again, with the bad questions. 146. I have the wanderlust and am never happy unless I am roaming or traveling about. Now, I don't know why it's called the wanderlust when it's simply just wanderlust. And maybe that's just the way the English language changes with time, which I get. I've got an English degree. I understand how that works. It's just the wanderlust. It's got me. 151. Someone has been trying to poison me. 156. This is a long one. I have had periods in which I carried on activities without knowing later what I had been doing. Now, some people will call that being blackout drunk. Oh, like that clown in charge of some federal group who claims that teleportation is real. And he's on record. I'll look up his name. I'll see if I can find links to it and put all that good stuff in the description. Anyhow, because he's gone out drinking with friends, and then suddenly he's at Waffle House. And he swears up and down he's been teleported. Fools. All right. No, in my notes it says number 171 question mark. It makes me uncomfortable to put on a stunt at a party, even when others are doing the same sorts of things. It's old use of the word stunt, so I don't really quite know what that means. I think it's giving in to peer pressure, even if I know better. I just don't understand that question. I would hope they would revise it if it's still in use today, which Dr. Google, PhD, not MD, Dr. Google says it is still used. Anyhow, 184. I commonly hear voices without knowing where they come from. 185. My hearing is apparently as good as most people. I don't know how one would judge that unless you go around having strange conversations about people's hearing. 187. My hands have not become clumsy or awkward. It's not just the hands. It's you as a person. It's an all or nothing thing. It's not like, oh, my hands, but I can walk a balance beam otherwise. It just doesn't work that way. 191. Sometimes, when embarrassed, I break out in a sweat, which annoys me greatly. Terrible punctuation in that question, because I don't know what annoys me here. Is it the breaking out in the sweat? Is it the sweat itself? Or is it just when embarrassed? Or am I annoyed because it only happens sometimes? I have to hope that the questions are better phrased in modern versions of this. 195. I do not like everyone I know. Everyone should mark that true. 200. There are persons who are trying to steal my thoughts and ideas. That's why I sleep in a tinfoil hat. 203. If I were a reporter, I would very much like to report news of the theater. 228. At times, I feel that I can make up my mind with unusually great ease. That's right. Being able to make decisions quickly is apparently an indicator of some type of malfeasance or deviance or some other thing. And we'll go over those in a moment. All right, we're almost done. 241. I dream frequently about things that are best kept to myself. So that implies you remember your dreams. 244. My way of doing things is apt to be misunderstood by others. It's like so many cowboy songs is what that reminds me of. 255. Sometimes at elections I vote for men whom I know very little. Excuse me. I also vote for women of whom I know very little. Although I will say that for many years here in Alabama, I voted for a woman named Twinkle because I was convinced she was an elf or a fairy. I mean, with a name like Twinkle. No, turns out she was just a Karen. I met her at something I was at. I was very disappointed. 261. If I were an artist, I would like to draw flowers. 262. It does not bother me that I am not better looking. I'll leave you to make your own judgment. 266. Once a week or oftener, I become very excited. 275. Someone has control over my mind. 279. I drink an unusually large amount of water every day. I don't know what unusually large is. Is it 8 glasses? Is it 8 cups? Is it 8 gallons? We don't know. Because again, it's a terribly written question that presumes way too much. 285. Once in a while, I laugh at a dirty joke. I'm so naughty. 291. At one or more times in my life, I felt that someone was making me do things by hypnotizing me. 295. I liked Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. All right, truth be told, I liked the Disney cartoon version. Ooh, and that one live action one that had, I think, Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter. That was a fun one. The book, like all good books, literature written at that time, it is way too ponderous. Ponderously written. It's like they were all paid by the word and not just some of them. 313 here. The man who provides temptation by leaving valuable property unprotected is about as much to blame for its theft as the one who steals it. All right, good. I'm glad to know victim blaming is not a new thing. It is something that's been around with us since at least 1943. 325. The things that some of my family have done have frightened me. So in the past I was frightened, but I'm not frightened anymore. It's the use of the word have. It's terrible questions. 331. If people had not had it in for me, I would have been much more successful. Those people, them, the infamous them, related to the infamous they and them. I like this one, 334. Peculiar odors come to me at times. Now, I am guilty of creating peculiar odors at times, but I'll own up to it. 349. I have strange and peculiar thoughts. Compared to what? 358. Bad words, often terrible words, come into my mind and I cannot get rid of them. All right, note, pounding the table for emphasis is bad. Whole camera shakes. 374. If given the chance, I could do some things that would be of great benefit to the world. 387. I have had no difficulty starting or holding my urine. Not urine, mine. 395. I've had periods when I felt so full of pep that sleep did not seem necessary for days at a time. Is pep like meth? I don't know. 413. I deserve severe punishment for my sins. 420. I have had some very unusual religious experiences. 426. I have, at times, had to be rough with people who were rude or annoying. Now, in my notes, I've got the word rough in quotation marks because you could take that a lot of ways. But all things considered, I think what they really mean is you've had to use what we called in the Army wall-to-wall counseling, wherein you slam someone up against one wall and then the next wall until they finally have some sense knocked into them. At least that's how I choose to interpret it. 423. I like, or I have liked, which means I may not like it anymore. Fishing very much. Just the verb tenses. It's all timey-wimey. 433. I used to have imaginary companions. I don't anymore, but I used to. Or what if I still do? How do I answer that question? 441. I like tall women. 449. I do not like to see women smoke. 456. A person shouldn't be punished for breaking a law that he thinks is unreasonable. There's lots of stuff. This is very much written from a male perspective. And I really think the test is aimed at males. I wonder if there's an equivalent for women, but I'm guessing not because of that one question, which totally changes the question. If you're a girl, as it said in there. Excuse me. I used to like hopscotch. I have never seen a vision. 471. In school, my marks in deportment were quite regularly bad. I think deportment here means behavior, the way I carried myself, things that as a teacher today, you're not supposed to grade people on. I mean, we do, we call it other things, but here it implies that that was just a standard grade, you know, reading, writing, arithmetic, behavior. 474. I have to urinate no more often than others. That's the fifth such question. And this one implies that I hang out with folks and we discuss, you know, hey, how often do you go to the bathroom? Maybe this is related to the how much unusually amounts of water do I drink. 476. Which movie do you get when I say this? I am a special agent of God. That's right. Straight Blues Brothers vibes right there, folks. 502. A windstorm terrifies me. Not a hurricane, not a cyclone, not a tornado, but a windstorm. 505. Horses that don't pull should be beaten or kicked. And there's another horse question. Hold on. 513. I think Lincoln was greater than Washington. The only thing I can think of here is the freeing the slaves versus having slaves part. I'm sure there's other reasons, and I'm equally sure they're not explained. But this is an asinine question without context. I like mannish women. The last time I've seen the word mannish used was in fantasy role-playing games where it's used to describe, you know, sentient species that are humanoid, you know, 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 eyes, but they're not humans. They're orcs or elves or dwarves, and they're referred to as being mannish in that they're humanish, not, it looks like a man. Anyhow, 529. I would like to wear expensive clothes, or I would like to wear expensive clothes. Or I would wear them if I had them, or maybe I would just enjoy wearing them, or do I have to buy? I mean, again, terrible questions. Last page, and I know this has gone long, 24 minutes, shoot. Excuse me. I would like to hunt lions in Africa. I never attend a sexy show if I can avoid it. You know, sometimes I just kind of, I guess, when I wake up in places I've never been to before, I was like, oh, look, I'm in a sexy show at a gentleman's club. Oh, I guess I'm stuck. 550. I like repairing a door latch. And 560. I'm greatly bothered by forgetting where I put things. Is it the forgetting? Is it? I don't know. All of this to say is that you can have a lot of fun with old medical stuff, old psychological stuff, because we know a lot more. We've advanced a lot more. As you might guess from those questions, though, according to Dr. Google, this test was used to determine a person. There's 10 different scales. One is hypochondriasis, your preoccupation with body symptoms and fears of illness, or depression, or hysteria, psychopathic deviant, masculinity, femininity, paranoia. I read several of those. Psychasthenia. No, that's OCD stuff and anxiety. Schizophrenia. I read several of those too. Hypomania. Social introversion. This was added in later 1940s adaptations to measure extroversion or introversion. Probably that librarian question. All right. Well, this is a really, really long test, which is why I did all the beer stuff early. I hope. I don't know. Let me know in the comments how the whole thing pans out. Be it the lighting. I'm not going to do a long video, long form like this again for some time, folks. Don't worry. The setting, or any other comments. I love engagement, and I'll re-engage with you. Or if it turns out this method doesn't work at all, which we'll find out when I go to upload it, that's great. Anyhow, cheers.